Explanation is a potent mix of clarity of purpose, clarity of language, and essential information, all calibrated for an intended audience. Those who do it well stand out. Simplicity is the key to getting your message through. In the age of technology and digital communication, attention has become one of our most valuable resources. People who know how to get their message across while remaining engaging and interesting tend to do better in business and interpersonal relationships. In the media and entertainment sectors, success is intrinsically tied to how well we pitch and explain our ideas to audiences. We often underestimate the importance of simplicity when trying to convey our ideas to others. Simple, everyday language and short sentences are the main ingredients in effective communication. We often assume that using technical terms or embellishing our stories with fancy words makes us sound smarter, but it actually prevents people from understanding the essence of what we are trying to share. These days, in my sites are superfluous adjectives, obscure or complex vocabulary, unnecessary detail, long sentences. They all have to go. Explaining things in the simplest possible way doesn't mean excluding details. Understanding the difference between essential and confusing details is key to explaining complex ideas. Not being able to recognize essential details means that we are not completely familiar with the topic at hand, something our audiences are bound to pick up on. You can't dodge the complexities and hope to explain something well. To explain is to first understand. Context helps people understand why what you're saying matters. As social media has become increasingly prominent, there has been a lot of talk about how it has made us unable to focus for long periods without getting distracted. While it's true that social media algorithms prefer short snippets of information over long read articles and lengthy videos, this doesn't mean that audiences can't handle detailed explanations. The rising popularity of podcasts and full-length documentaries proves that we crave meaningful content, regardless of length. Because technology provides us with an abundance of distractions and a constant flow of information, the key to grabbing and keeping hold of people's attention is explaining why what we are saying is important. Rather than skipping over details and information that we assume will be too complicated for audiences to understand, we have to provide context for the key facts we want to share. A great explanation will include the essential details and the essential complexities and do so in the simplest language possible. Many of us can't pay attention to important news like policy changes and world events because the media often fails to convey the context. Nothing happens in a vacuum, and providing context can mean reflecting on a historical precedent, looking at a geographical region, or explaining what a concept means. Whatever we are trying to explain, and however little time we have to do it, there is always space for a brief explanation of why it matters. Whether it's a news story, a kid's activity, or everything in between, ask yourself, what do the people I'm speaking to need to know? Well-organized information is more engaging and easier to follow. Before explaining something to other people, you must understand the topic yourself. Understanding your topic well helps you organize the information in a comprehensible and engaging way and will save you embarrassment if someone asks further questions. A well-structured presentation will be easy for your audience to follow and will help them to understand and remember the main points more clearly. A well-organized explanation lays out facts, essential details, and context simply yet precisely. There are many ways to structure an explanation. You can lay out facts chronologically, start from a specific event and zoom out, or start from someone else's take on a subject and expand. A common strategy used in the media is to start a story with a lead that explains what the main story is about, before going into specific details and adding context. One of the most important parts of a well-structured presentation is knowing your audience. We would organize a story about NATO or the EU very differently depending on whether we were presenting it to political analysts or elementary school children. The quickest way to lose someone's attention is to distract them by using words they don't understand or expanding on concepts they are not familiar with. Understanding who we're speaking to allows us to adjust the amount of details and context and predict what questions might come up. The more you know about who you are speaking to, the more you can calibrate your explanation and the more likely you are to communicate effectively. Remember, split your sentences in two. If you're unsure how to shorten a long sentence without excluding essential information, try splitting it into two sentences that are easier to understand. Use common language. Ask yourself, do I sound like myself when preparing an explanation? The simplest way to phrase something will sound a lot like your daily conversations.
Know your audience.
Think about who you're preparing your explanation for and adjust your wording, sentence structure, and content to be most appropriate for them. Start sentences with key information. Rather than dropping it in mid-sentence, start your sentences with the main subject so that people know what you're talking about from the beginning. The way we explain ideas and tell stories can make or break an opportunity. To communicate complex ideas effectively and make an impression, we have to speak in clear, everyday language without oversimplifying content.